has started and is now recording. Put my phone on silent. Hello and good evening, everyone. Come on in, come on in, come on in. Welcome to tonight's live Q&A session. So glad to have all of you. Amber, let me go ahead and give you access so you can turn your camera on. There you go.
Okay.
Wonderful. Good to see you. So,
Yes.
so we had a little joke going before you came on because we're all color coordinated. So,
Oh,
look at there's burgundy. Deitra has on black and white and the burgundy necklace, and then Kacey has on burgundy jewelry and background, and Jacqueline has on black and white. And I said, "Oh, I hope Amber doesn't show up with bright yellow." But I say you're still coordinating perfectly. So I think this is going to
wow.
be
I matched my background earlier. Got the blue, you know.
all righty. So again, welcome everybody to tonight's live Q&A session. This is day 2 of the virtual CHW Summit, where the theme was health equity for all. We had some great sessions today. Hopefully you've had time to catch a couple of those. If you have not, please make sure you get those watched before the end of the week. I'm going to go around the virtual table and have each of today's presenters introduce themselves. We'll take about 60 seconds to say who you are, what you do, your organization, and then remind everybody about your presentation or the name of the presentation today. So my name is Quisha Umemba. I am CEO and founder of Umemba Health LLC, where we provide public health education and consulting. We also train CHWs and CHW instructors. And today I had a pre-recorded presentation called Reducing Racial and Ethnic Health Disparities. And so, Amber, since you were our keynote presenter, I'll let you go next.
Yep, I'm Amber Hinds, and I'm the founder and CEO of Equalize Digital, which is a website accessibility consulting company. And today I presented on accessible websites and documents and emails, and how to make sure that all of your digital communications are accessible for people with disabilities.
Thank you. And Kacey?
Yes. Hey, everyone. My name is Kacey Creel, and I'm the co-founder for Diversity in Diabetes. It's a nonprofit that really focuses on inclusivity in the diabetes space and increasing representation for people living with diabetes and also diabetes educators. And I presented today on advocacy and allyship.
Thank you, Kacey. Jacqueline?
Hi, everyone. My name is Jacqueline McLeeland. I am the founder and executive director of Push Birth Partners, also known as Push. We are a newly established nonprofit. Our mission is improving maternal health experiences and outcomes. Oh, I'm sorry. I presented today. My presentation title is Fostering a System of Support, the Impact of CHWs in Maternal Health.
Thank you, Jacqueline. And Deitra?
Well, good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Deitra Dennis, and I'm the founder and CEO of Full Circle Health Coaching LLC. We are a health and wellness solution where we offer evidence-based and culturally relevant services to improve the heart health of women. And my presentation today was about how you can offer a Taste of African Heritage curriculum as a CHW.
Thank you so very much, ladies. All of you had, of course, what I believe to be phenomenal presentations with so much value. It was like, just quick and dirty, the way that you like it, right? Just the meat of the content. Amber, my mind is still reeling from your presentation, and I want to actually hold off and do some of your questions later, mostly because I'm still like, ugh, about my content and its accessibility level. But Deitra, I'll start with you, and we can kind of go in the reverse direction. One of the questions that came in is, what makes a Taste of African Heritage cooking classes different from others?
Oh, that's a great question. So when you think of a Taste of African Heritage, yes, it is a cooking class, but it's more about connecting to heritage. So each lesson talks about the history of the African diaspora. So yes, you learn cooking techniques, but it's also learning about the heritage history. So that's what makes it a little different.
I love that. And also, if you've watched that presentation or downloaded the slides, you'll see some pictures of me there in African attire. So one of the things that's special about this curriculum, besides the fact that I've had the training, and I've also had staff that taught this curriculum, is it was right after I did my ancestry DNA. So I was like, really like pro African queen, don't tell me anything. So I will say that what's different and unique about the curriculum is it's almost like discovering your roots at the same time and discovering the way that you used to eat and how that's so much healthier for you. So it's definitely a cultural history lesson while you're learning the most nutritious ways to eat as well. Thank you for that. So Kacey, so Jacqueline, reverse order. We had some great questions that came in for you. One of them is how do you integrate CHWs to a greater degree in your organization?
Good question. Thank you, Quisha. As I mentioned previously, we are a newly established nonprofit. The keyword newly established. So how we lift off and get off the ground really depends on our initial funding. This is one of the many reasons why we're also looking at how to become self-reliant, a self-reliant organization. But having said that, when PUSH was in its mere concept, integrating CHWs was always our plan. And what that means is we specifically integrated CHW staff positions into the actual budget. We also want to ensure that CHWs are represented. This is one of the many reasons why we're incorporating them into the budget, that they are represented throughout various aspects of the organization, from volunteers to the leadership team. And I think this also, again, speaks to, we want to demonstrate how versatile CHWs are.
Wow, I'm so glad to hear you say that. I actually speak about that in the CHW integration talk that I did on yesterday, how like the smartest organizations are understanding now that you should just integrate CHWs in the budget, create a line item for them from the get-go so that you don't have a problem with, having to stop your program when the funding runs out. So very smart move for any organization. Thank you for answering that question. Now, Kacey, a lot of interest in your presentation. Someone wants to know, how can you be sure you're being an accomplice rather than an ally? So first of all, for those that may not have watched the session yet, can you kind of tell, just kind of allude to what we mean when we say be an accomplice rather than an ally, and how you can be sure you're doing that?
Yes, for sure. That's a really good question. So with being an accomplice, that's really going all in and, really being a part of a specific mission, a specific action, and having the same consequences or whatever being done upon you. With being an ally, it kind of looks like you're a friend. It looks like you're in for the team, but, you're not really fully in. And so when we say be an accomplice, we're really talking about just really showing your support, and just as a person being all in with showing support for different groups who aren't like you or anything like that. And so that's what we mean about being an accomplice. And so a couple ways that you can make sure that you are being all in is, I think, just really have self-reflection. Whenever you do when you're speaking about something specific, make sure that it's coming from the right place, and it's not really coming from just everything that's been going on in the world. Just really make sure that this is, something that is really coming from within. And that's the first, place that you want to start, is just self-reflection.
Thank you. I like that, being all in. One of the things that it reminds me of, to me, being accomplished is really sticking your neck out for that person, going the extra mile. I know in my talk, I talked about, most people are either complicit or complacent. And so, if you're going to be an accomplice, you're not going to be either of those. You're actually going to be the person that's out there with the picket signs, saying Black Lives Matter, because you understand that it takes you, especially if you're outside of a community of color, it really takes you and your voice to actually see a change in things. So Denise says, I love the use of accomplice. I've heard it used recently with Black Lives Matter. It reminds us that a social media post is not enough. Absolutely. It's not enough just to share it. And I know we all get busy time to time, right? I'm kind of guilty of it as well. I'll share something that says stop the Asian hate, but it really means you really, in order to prevent those disparities, you have to take action and be an advocate, which is so central to the CHW identity and one of their core roles. So Amber, like I said, I'm still reeling from the presentation, but someone wanted to know, they're really interested in everything that you have to say.
Mhm.
But what happens when the organization is not that invested in making those upgrades? Any pointers on how they can, get that point across, or, bring up that conversation with leadership?
Yep. So what I recommend, first of all, there's a couple of things. One is you want to be aware of when budgetary decisions are made in your organization. And sometimes it helps to time it before a budget is being decided for a year rather than after. So that's one thing. But I think a big thing is really talking to them about the impact. If you have any real communities that you work with where you have real examples of this is a person that we work with who would benefit from this improvement, and you can provide an example of a real person, it's a lot easier sometimes for leadership to envision that and understand, this is really who we're talking about. It's not some abstract people with disabilities, it's this literal person, Joe, or something like that. Another thing that is helpful is, as much as we don't like to say do it because it will help you financially or something like that, like there are legitimate business improvements or business reasons for accessibility. It can help with search engine optimization. It can help with conversions. Another thing too is if your organization has core missions and values, try to tie it to your core missions and values. So if your mission is that we're going to serve everyone in this community, and we know that the CDC is saying 25% of the adults in the United States have a disability, then are we really serving everyone in our community if we know that we're potentially leaving up to 25% of the population out? So I think if you can time it appropriately and try and figure out how it aligns with your mission, that can really help when it comes to speaking with leadership and trying to make it a priority from a budget perspective. But again, like one of the things I said at the end is, there are small things that anyone can do, just if they change like how they send links in the emails that they send, right? That can help, that don't cost me extra.
Oh, I love that. It's like making a business case, right? So anything that has to do with the bottom dollar or the bottom line, that budget is so important. Can individuals come to you and your organization if they want information or need help making that business case?
Yep, we do. We help people. We have a Facebook group it's more related to WordPress if you have a WordPress website, but we also, with our customers, we provide assistance with that if they're trying to figure out how do we sell this within our organization, or if they need an idea of what would the budget even have to be. We do provide that assistance as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Deidre, I'm going to pass it back to you. One of the questions that says, how would this cooking class apply for online virtual? Or I guess basically, how does this work in virtual delivery? And I can understand how people would find this kind of hard to conceive. So how would this work in the online space or the virtual space?
Yeah, thank you. So the original, as you listened or heard in the presentation, the curriculum started in 2012. And so it started out being a face-to-face or in-person class. But because of the pandemic last year, as everyone else did, had to pivot. Now, for me, with offering cooking classes, I've had many people who enjoy it because it's an opportunity. You're in your kitchen, they're in their kitchen, really increasing their confidence on cooking. And you just make it fun. So it is doable. And many people have been doing it prior to the pandemic, offering online cooking classes. So it can work. And in the curriculum, we share with you best practices as it relates to offering a virtual cooking class, how to keep people engaged. So
I love that. And I just want to say, like, it's not going to be easier, right? It's
Right.
doable. It takes
It's
practice. You
doable.
need to be trained, but
Yeah.
it certainly is not easy because you're in a virtual space. You got to make sure your camera is set up. You
Yes.
can't have your back to people,
Right.
So there is, it's like getting used to doing these type of virtual platforms. There's a learning curve there,
Yeah.
but our curriculum definitely teaches you how to maneuver and transition in the virtual space. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Okay, Deitra, no, I'm sorry, Jacqueline. How do you personally leverage the CHW credential with your background and education to achieve the mission of PUSH?
Oh, goodness. How much time do we have? Okay. So, again, our mission at PUSH is to partner with women and expectant families to improve maternal health experiences and outcomes. Now, prior to me becoming a mother, I earned my MBA and I worked in the clinical research industry for over 12 years. Along my maternal health journey in my graduate studies, I discovered public health. Through public health, I also discovered CHWs, which at the time I had no idea what that was. As I started digging a little deeper, I learned more about the CHW and the role of CHWs. I began to see from my journey throughout my pregnancy, the successful maternal health, despite me being a high-risk pregnancy. And I recognized that one of the many reasons why I was successful in my pregnancy was because I had the partnership. I had the support system through my husband and through my parents. I started recognizing me having the resources. Many people don't have that. I started looking deeper into the role of CHWs, and I discovered the DSHS had a program and that were certified and whatnot. So I registered for the National CHW Training Center because I wanted to better understand how can the role of CHWs be incorporated into improving something like maternal health, which is a public health crisis right now with what's going on with the data. I got my certification, and leveraging both my education as well as my certification as a CHW, but also my personal experience. That is what is driving me. And I have the goal to continue to combine my story along with my experience to further the mission at PUSH.
I love that. Thank you. That was a great question too. I can't remember who sent it in, but I think that's what most CHWs do. I know in my experience, I'm trying to leverage, my background as a nurse, my personal experiences, and then what I know from the public health aspect. And that's what I would encourage anyone that's a CHW to do in order to really find your niche or niche, however you say it. Thank you for that. So Kacey, this is a question I've been dying to ask you myself, because with us being co-founders of Diversity and Diabetes and friends and knowing one another, I know how you show support to people of color, but someone asks, what can I do to show support to people of color?
Yes, I'm so glad someone asked this question. So I really think just going back to self-reflection as well, and just listening. I really spend a lot of time listening, and also I love what Jacqueline, brought up with personal experiences. So I really use that to leverage, my ability to help show support. Just from my personal experience of going to college, which I graduated from Texas Southern University, which is a historically Black university, and so I really have just been through personal experiences that I have just seen the disparities that is in the world. And so first and foremost, I just really rely on that and just really trying to listen and, be humble as well, and not really take offense to something that someone has said. Like if someone has said, oh, a white person, if Quisha said a white person did this to me, like that's not an offense to me, but that's showing that I need to use that to kind of help leverage your voice and kind of raise your story. And so I think just having empathy, just listening to every story that is shared and never doubt it, because that is someone's personal experience and they wouldn't be saying it if it didn't happen or if that didn't make them feel that way. And so never, never, never question someone's experience, because that's their personal experience. And then secondly, educate and do your own research. Don't rely on social media. Really do your own research and just ask those hard questions as well. Not be afraid to engage in conversation that's going to get good personal experience, rather than, what you're hearing on social media from both ends of it. Like, really find your own research and do your own digging. And then secondly, just kind of amplify people of color's voices, because their voices matter. And, I just want to be able to use my voice to help amplify everyone else's voice. So definitely education, amplifying, and just having empathy.
I love that. And I mean, that's CHW work, right? That's what we do to increase self-sufficiency and self-efficacy. We speak up for those, advocacy, again, we speak up for those that cannot speak up for themselves, and we help impart them with that knowledge until they are strong enough to do so. I love that, Kacey. Thank you so much. And Taniko says she loves that as well. Excellent. Amber, what can we do to have more accessible social media posts? I follow you on LinkedIn. I see how you post and descriptions that you put there. Tell us a little bit more about that and how our social media sites can be more accessible.
Yes. So LinkedIn is actually one of the few platforms where you can, when you are making a post, you can actually click on your image and you can put an alt tag for blind people. So it will describe what the image is of, so they won't miss out. Facebook does not have that, and Twitter typically does not. It depends on how you're editing. But if you're pre-scheduling something like with Buffer, which we frequently use because realistically I'm not always on social all the time, you can't send over the alt text. So one of the big things to keep in mind is people who are blind love to use social media too. And so whenever I'm writing, I share an image and I write whatever I would write about the image. Most of the time, most of us don't even acknowledge what the picture is, because we're just assuming people can see it, and we write a supplemental caption, right? Mm-hmm. So I write the supplemental caption, and then below it, I'll usually put image description : and I'll put a short description of what the image is. So that's one way is that I make it better for people who are screen reader users or who are blind. Another way is try and leave emojis to the end and don't use a ton of them, because it does actually read out emojis. And I've seen the thing where people, for emphasis, they'll put a word and a clap emoji and a word and clap emoji and a word. And if you think on a screen reader, it's really hard for them to understand what all those words are. Of course, any videos, if you can caption them, and captions are great for everyone. I always say this in almost every talk I give, which is that I do a lot of my social media at night when I'm nursing my baby. I'll lay on the bed with her and put her to bed, and it will be dark and I can't have sound on, but I'm still using my phone, and I use captions. That's how I watch videos on social media. So having captions is really important, and describing the images is probably the top recommendations I have.
No, I'm not starting the live captions just because you mentioned it now. I'm not starting them right now at all. They've been going the entire time we've been doing this live Q&A. Is there a checklist of things? I guess we could refer to your PowerPoint presentation, but it's just one side or one page or one area maybe on your website with a checklist of all the accessibility considerations?
So the best way to find that for websites is if you go on our website, equalizedigital.com, and you go under the accessibility checker and you look at the documentation. That's our tool that scans websites for WordPress websites for accessibility errors, and you can see all of the errors and then also all of the warnings, and you could click on each one and it would give you an explanation. And most, as I mentioned, a lot of those guidelines apply to written documents or social media or those sorts of things as well. And a quick pro tip on the captions too, if you're ever not using Zoom, I know some people use Google Slides to present, but that also has live captioning that you can turn on in presenter mode. So if you ever have an audience and you're on a platform that doesn't allow captions, like Zoom, it's kind of new that they just added that. You can do it through Google Slides as well, and Microsoft Teams has it. So there's a lot of options now for that if you are trying to, and they may not even be deaf, you might just be working with someone who is a little bit hard of hearing, and it's helpful to have or English language learners sometimes too find captions helpful.
Very true. Very good. I'm a Canva girl, so I'm just waiting on Canva. It seems like every week they update it with something. So I'm like, come on, captions. But yes, this has been great, everybody. We're right at 6:55. We do have 2 daily giveaways that we need to do because earlier, Deitra was our daily giveaway winner for the live session, and speakers are not allowed to win any giveaways. So we're going to do 2 back-to-back. While I'm doing these, if you have any questions for any of our presenters, please put those in the chat box now. So let me share my screen. And just to remind you, we are giving away an e-gift card for $50 at Amazon, as well as $50 to the UH Academy merchandise and apparel online store. So let's go ahead and see who our, I don't want to close that. I want to minimize. See how our two winners are for tonight. So here we go. Rosa Valauta at Harris Health. That's in Houston. Congrats, Rosa. You'll be getting an email from me letting you know how to redeem your giveaway. Gonna remove you from there now, and let's see who wins the next giveaway. Cynthia Washington at austintx.gov. Congratulations, Cynthia. I think you're here in Austin at the Public Health Department. So those are our winners for tonight. Looks like we don't have any questions that came through. Are there any last words, comments, or anything that you ladies have to say since we have about 3 minutes? Do you want the floor to say where you can be followed or how people can find you or anything like that? Please go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just say if anyone has any questions about accessibility or wants help finding checklists or anything like that, if you email me, amber@equalizedigital.com, I'd be happy to help. So
thank you so much, Amber. And Deitra, you wanted to say something?
Well, first, I just wanted to congratulate each of the participants for investing in themselves, so that they can better serve the community, number one. And then I can be found on Facebook and YouTube at Full Circle Health Coaching LLC. And then if you enroll into the curriculum, you will see my face again.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Deitra. Jacqueline, you want to let people know where they can find you?
Yeah, so the organization is Push Birth Partners. We go by Push. If you access the presentation, also the handouts, you can see my contact information. You can email at push@pushbirthpartners.org. You can also find me on LinkedIn under Jacqueline McLeeland. And I look forward to reviewing more of the CHW Summit throughout the week. And thank you all very much for attending.
Awesome. And then Kacey, I'll let you let people know where they can find Diversity in Diabetes.
Awesome. All right. So yes, you can go to www.diversityindiabetes.org. You can also find us on Instagram at Diversity in Diabetes. If you want to sign up to be a volunteer, go to our website. There is an application to be a volunteer. We are looking for board members, and we're starting to plan our People of Color Living with Diabetes Virtual Summit, the 2nd annual. So definitely, if you want to be a part of planning that, then head to the website.
Awesome. Thank you so very much, ladies. This has been short, sweet, and fabulous. Looking forward to day 3. Thanks, everybody, for joining in tonight. Have a lovely evening. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.